So in today's video, we're going to get started with Jigsaw Structures, which is a new feature provided in an experiment in Minecraft Preview for 1.21.50. Jigsaw structures are powerful because they take multiple MC structures, those exports of different types of blocks that you have from Minecraft, and combine them together to build mega structures. So with jigsaw blocks, you can assemble, for example, custom dungeons, or maybe custom castles, or you can also build outdoor features, like maybe a custom village or some natural features that are combined together under a common theme. And because they're randomly generated, it really adds a lot of spice and variety to the worlds that you're building. So let's get started first by building out a set of MC structures we can use in our jigsaw. So we're going to get started and build a new world, a new flat world that's going to hold all of the example structures that are going to be used as components in our broader jigsaw mega structure. So we're going to call this basic jigsaw, we're going to create a flat world, and we're going to get started. Now this area will have three basic structures. We're going to create an east-west hall, a north-south hall, and a larger 21 by 21 interior room that has an open space at the north, the east, the south, and the west, to basically connect to different types of halls. And so here I'm just going to go create out all of my halls. You can see that what I've done here is I've defined the interface between these different connection points as an opening that's 7 blocks wide and 4 blocks tall. So this is how all the different structures will go ahead and connect to one another. And I've also placed some torches throughout just so that there's nice lighting, but this also helps me make sure that the sizings are all right by making sure that the sizes are consistent. And now that I've created my basic templates, what I'm going to do is use some structure blocks and size them appropriately so that they contain the north-south hall, the east-west hall, and the 21 by 21 room. And that will allow us to go save all these structures as MC structure files over to disk for use in our pack a little bit later in the video. So now I've created all my structures. Now it's time to actually go ahead and place some jigsaw blocks. And so I'm going to give all these connection points a name. In fact, I'm going to call this Mike north-south 7x4 to indicate that the interface here is really a north-south opening that's 7 blocks wide by 4 blocks tall. I'm going to say that when this gets provisioned into the world, replace the jigsaw block with a Minecraft stone bricks block. And then I'm also going to say that the pool of connections that it should use should come from a pool called north-south 7x4. So that's my basic template for jigsaw blocks. I'm now going to go place a jigsaw block at every intersection point inside of my various structures. And now I'm going to go export them over off into disk. So now I'm ready to go on that front. I've got my 3 example MC structure files that I'm ready to incorporate into my behavior pack. And just to take a quick look, this is our handiwork. As you can see here, we've got this big 21 by 21 building, a north hall, and an east-west hall. So now I'm going to go to mctools.dev and I'm going to go start my behavior pack project. I'm going to select the add-on starter project. I'm going to call this basic, just to indicate that this is a basic Hello World jigsaw structure project. And then I'm going to say export to a folder on my device. And I'm going to choose a new folder called basic jigsaws, like so. And this is where I'm going to have mctools.dev save template, behavior pack, and resource pack files that I can use to get started with. Let's go open Visual Studio Code from the command prompt. So now let's go ahead and add our worldgen capabilities. So to do that, I'm going to create a new folder in my behavior pack. I'm going to call this worldgen, like so. And then there's going to be a number of subsidiary folders underneath worldgen that define the various components of my jigsaw structure. Now at the outermost level, I'm going to create a folder called structure sets, which contains how Minecraft will go ahead and place my structure inside of the broader world. So I'm going to call this basic worldgen.json, and then I'm going to go paste in my elemental JSON. You can find this in the link in description below. But what you can see here is that there's an identifier basic dungeon. There's a number of different placement options for how this should be spread inside of the world. And the important ones here are spacing and separation. So spacing, think of this as how wide in terms of chunks should it place these particular structures, 10 chunks. And from a separation perspective, think of that as enforcing the set of padding that I should have inside of the world. So in this case, make sure that the structures as you place them are always at least surrounded by 4 chunks of empty space. So that's our basic dungeon set. I've also given an identifier of Mike:basic_dungeon. Next up, we're going to go define the jigsaw structure itself. And so to do that, I'm going to create a new folder called Jigsaw Structures, like so. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add in a file called basic dungeon as well. So this is called the same thing. This really starts to define the actual structure of my jigsaw. So what you can see here is that this has an identifier of Mike:basic_dungeon. It will place this on the surface, and it's going to identify the starting pool that it should actually start to go provision this basic dungeon from. So we're going to create a template pool in just a second called Mike:north-south 7x4, which you'll see in a second. But it also has some meta properties like max depth and those kinds of things. I could also put a biome filter here. So if I wanted to, for example, have a winter dungeon and maybe a desert dungeon and those kinds of things, I could define different jigsaw_structure JSON files, and then from there, inside of my structure set, I could include those structures in this listing, and therefore it would be smart about provisioning a dungeon for the winter inside of the winter biomes and that kind of thing. But we're just going to have one dungeon in this example, and you can see it essentially just defines the starting pool that we're going to start with. So let's move on to that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new folder called template_pools like so. So now I'm going to create a new file inside of templates pools, and I'm going to call this ns6x4.json like so. And so in this file, I'm going to place my first template pool template. You can see that this is an identifier of Mike:ns7x4 that refers to the opening, 7x4 open blocks essentially. And then what you can see from here is that there's actually two elements placed inside. It's going to either randomly choose a north-south hall, or it's going to choose a 21 room structure. And those are the structures that we basically designed and saved off into our structures folder. So with a little bit of weight, what it's going to do is it's going to choose a north-south hall, but then sometimes it'll choose a 21 sized room to go do it. Actually, let's go change the weight so that this is a bit heavier like so. And what I'm going to do from here is I'm just going to copy this and use this as my east-west template pool template as well. So east-west 7x4, let's go open this up. Let's go change the identifiers as appropriate. And we're going to go use the east-west hall MC structure like this. So this essentially provisions our east-west hall. Now the one thing you'll notice is that this is also referring to a block processor called stone brick replacement. So let's go take a look at what that is like. I'm going to go create a new folder here called processors like so. And I'm going to create a file called stone brick replacement, replacement.json like so. And then we're going to place this template in here. And what this simply does is it will randomly choose blocks to go replace with something else to give it a little bit of random flavor as you're provisioning these inside of the world. So randomly take these stone bricks and replace them with mossy stone bricks or cracked stone bricks. You get the idea. This will make it look a little bit better and a little bit more random. Okay, so now I'm going to save all these files. I'm going to go into my .env folder, which basically tells this script how to provision it into Minecraft. I'm going to go target Minecraft Preview. And then what I'm just going to very briefly do is I'm going to rename this to basic jigsaw dungeon like so. And let's go into our manifest.json and give it basic jigsaw dungeon like so. Okay. All right, so I think we have everything we need to go do this. Let's go pull up our command line. All right, let's go run npm local deploy like so. And you can see that now it's built it and distributed it inside of Minecraft. So let's go pop up Minecraft Preview and see what this looks like. So we're going to create a new world to go test this out. When you're working with Jigsaw Structures, you'll probably want to get into the business of creating lots of worlds repetitively. There is also a place jigsaw command that we can use to actually place these on demand and test it. So what I'm going to do is activate my basic jigsaw dungeon and then just make sure I go into experiments and turn on the data-driven jigsaw structures. So let's call this jigsaw test 7. I don't know why 7 or 78 for that matter. Let's go create that. Okay, so let's pop up and take a look. Oh yeah, so you can see here that there's a lot of structures already. You can see, in fact, I think some of these structures are actually overlapping one another. But at least it's working. We've got something. We've got halls and large rooms. So it's already starting to look good. And let's go take a deeper look. You can see that it's randomly replaced a number of different blocks with cobblestone and mossy stone bricks and those kinds of things. So you can see that, yeah, this actually looks kind of cool and looks kind of nice. And you can see that we've got the start of our dungeon here, already a creepy spider. and there's just a number of doors that are inside of this overall structure. So yeah, you can see a little bit about how this is all put together and how it's provisioned. Let's go peek out a little bit and get another higher level view of everything that's gone on. You can see that it's actually started to dig into building and to the sides of mountains, excuse me. So that's another interesting artifact. It extends over water. So there's a lot of interesting placement options that you'll want to consider to maybe fine tune that and hone it so that it doesn't maybe necessarily do as broad a distribution of dungeons. You can see that it's pleasantly placed a new dungeon right next to this village, so that's pretty cool. Yeah, so this is just a very quick intro to creating a Hello World structure using jigsaws. Okay, so now let's try a quick experiment to see if changing the spacing and separation of our structures will change how they provision and maybe avoid overlaps, which definitely seem to have the effect of confusing the overall provisioning of our basic dungeon. So I'm going to come back to spacing, and I'm just going to crank this up to probably about 40 just to make sure that it's more widely spread. And I'm going to increase the separation to about 12 like so. So let's see if this makes it, it's going to make it a lot more rare, that's for sure, but let's go see what this looks like inside of a new Minecraft world. Okay, we're in the middle of a forest. Let's go look around and see if we can find our dungeon. Okay, I'm not really seeing it just yet. It was all over the place before, but now it's just not quite as visible. Oh, there's one over there. Let's go traverse over to it. So let's go zoom over there, and yeah, this looks like a nice little cozy dungeon that we've got nestled into the mountain with some snow on top. Looks pretty nice. Let's go pop in and take a look and see what we see inside of this dungeon. So yeah, so changing the positioning to make sure that they're widely spread apart so that they can't provision on top of one another. That's an important strategy. You can also manipulate the depth to change how far a structure will provision unto itself. So in this case, you can see that, yeah, it really went in depth in provisioning a long haul into the side of a mountain. So yeah, pretty cool, pretty interesting. And just another couple of notes while we're here, you can use commands. So in this case, I can say locate structure, Mike, basic dungeon like so. And this will give me the coordinates roughly. So let's see, if we go to negative 2200, let's say 80, negative 1290, I think it was. Yeah, you can see that I should see a structure around here somewhere. Let's see, so could be underground, I guess. Let's see. There should be a structure around here somewhere. Oh, there it is. Right. It was right on top of my head. And that's interesting. It provisioned a break in the particular halls and those kinds of things. That's interesting. I have to go see why that happened. But yeah, you can use the locate command to go find them. If you want to try your hand at provisioning jigsaw structures, you can, let's go use the command for that. Now the command is mostly for debugging, but let's go give it a try. Let's go come over to a flat space, let's say. And so what I'm going to enter is the new place command, place jigsaw, and I'm going to give it the name of a pool, and then I'm going to give it the name of a target block to go target. And in my case, that's both NS7x4 and NS7x4 for the actual connection point. I'm going to give it a depth, and I'm going to say provision in front of me, and we'll see what happens. And you can see that, yeah, it went ahead and placed a whole structure. Go bust out and see what this looks like. Yeah, you can see that, well, in this case, the random generation wasn't super interesting. It just went straight as a bunch of north-south blocks. Oh, it looks like maybe it kind of burrowed into the mountain a little bit, and yeah, then made a kind of a left turn and came back out the other side. So yeah, that's just an interesting example of provisioning. Okay, so just two small concepts I want to show you. One is the concept of fallback pools and caps. So a fallback pool is basically a template pool that gets applied if none of the other pools will actually fit. And so in my case, what I'm going to use is the concept of a fallback pool to implement just some simple caps for the empty halls that you might see at the end of a structure. So now I'm going to specify my jigsaw block for my end cap. I'm not going to specify a target pool or a target name because I don't want this to actually engender provisioning of other structures into the world, so I'm not going to supply a target name for it. Now let's go build our north-south cap. And so then what I'm going to go do is save off these structures as east-west cap.mc structure and northwest cap.mc structure so that I can use them in new template pools. Okay, and so the other interesting part of Jigsaw Structures is that they're not just for the perimeter for connecting multiple structures together. You can also use Jigsaw Structures to go ahead and actually provision interiors in interesting ways. And so what I'm going to do is vary our 21 by 21 room by provisioning different variant interiors for that room, and then use a jigsaw block to customize how that gets placed. Okay, so this is just a sample set of our interiors. We have just a chest with some carpet, some beds, and a little bit of a kitchen over here. Now let's go back into our 21 by 21 room and let's go place a jigsaw that will provision a potential 5 by 5 interior. And so I'm going to do that. Let's go put it right here. Now let's put it up about here. Now let's go put it over here like so. So it's facing that away. And what we're going to do is we are going to call this, we're going to use a pool name of Mike 5 by 5 int. That's the name of our new 5 by 5 interior format, so to speak. We're going to just call this Mike 5 int, and we're going to target the 5 by 5 int. I should have called this like southeast corner or something, but yeah. And then we're going to turn this back into air so that you don't see a visible jigsaw block inside of the room, since this is basically just in the middle of the room. Okay, so let's go and resave this structure then. And after we've done that, let's go modify the JSON files to take into account our new empty structures. Let's take a quick look at how we extended the JSON. You can see that we have 3 new template pools here. 5 by 5 interiors basically selects from the 3 structures that we saved out: beds, chest, carpet, and kitchen. So that will basically just provision interiors inside of our 21 by 21 rooms. And then we have EW cap and north-south cap. These are essentially just small template pools that will provision the north-south cap and the east-west cap respectively. And if you look inside of the north-south 7x4 template pools, we have this new fallback element which says that when you can't find anything from the set of elements to fit in, then go try to use this template pool over here as a bit of a fallback to see if you can still find something that will fit into the structure. Okay, so let's go try this inside of a new world. Oh, wow, we actually, I think, provisioned right on one of our structures. Let's go dig in and see what we see. Okay, so now you can see that the interiors of our 21 by 21 rooms now do have a little bit of an interior inside of them. So if I look inside this chest, you can see I left behind a couple of bones and some arrows. Whoop-de-doo. And you can see that these skeletons are kind of provisioned strangely. What you can see here at the end of this hall is provisioned a cap. There's a gap here because I probably didn't specify the stone bricks fallback for that. So that just about wraps it up for our whirlwind tour of getting started with jigsaw blocks inside of Minecraft. Keep in mind this feature is still experimental, so it will change over time. Maybe some of the formats will change, bugs will get fixed. So it will change as we look to bring it out of experimental. But hopefully you feel encouraged to go give it a try. You can create some really interesting things with jigsaw structures and really add a whole new fun element to Minecraft. Dungeons, cities, different types of natural features, those kinds of things that you can now add with jigsaw structures inside of Minecraft. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.